She had no titles, but she had something the Sheikh never had: wisdom. Soft Arabic flute and desert wind. The screen fades in endless dunes under the morning sun. A caravan moves slowly across the sand. In the heart of the Arabian desert, where gold shimmers under the sun and silence has its own music, lived a man who believed knowledge could buy immortality. Cut to the city of Almazar, shining like a jewel in the sand. Marble towers rise above the markets. The camera moves to a palace on the hill, grand, sacred, untouchable. His name was Sheikh Omar al-Rahim, ruler, scholar, dreamer. He possessed everything the world could offer, except peace. Inside the palace, the Sheikh walks through endless corridors of books, scrolls, and artifacts. His robes trail across polished stone. Sheikh Omar, whispering to himself. Power fades. Beauty fades. But knowledge endures. Inside the palace library, walls of ancient manuscripts, burning candles, ink pots on carved tables. Narrator. The Sheikh had spent decades collecting the wisdom of the world, scrolls from Persia, philosophies from Greece, and scriptures from distant lands. But each page he read left him with a deeper hunger. Enter Farid, his loyal advisor, older, humble, with worry in his eyes. Farid. My lord, you have more books than any man in Arabia. Yet I see restlessness in your eyes. What is it you still seek? Sheikh Omar. Restlessness, yes. For I have knowledge, Farid, but I do not yet have truth. He walks to the balcony, gazing at the horizon. Sheikh Omar. I want to build a place where the greatest minds of the world will meet, where no lie can hide, where wisdom is purified by reason. Farid. You wish to build another palace? Sheikh Omar, smiling faintly. Not a palace. A sanctuary of thought. A temple for the mind. Narrator. And thus, the idea was born, the House of Wisdom. Montage sequence, months of planning, messengers preparing scrolls, seals of gold being pressed onto invitations. Narrator. His vision spread across nations. Messengers rode for weeks through storm and sand carrying the same letter, sealed with his crest, written in his own hand. A voice reads the letter aloud over visuals of distant lands. Voice of messenger, reading. To all who have mastered knowledge and seek truth, the Sheikh of Almazar invites you to a gathering of wisdom. Come and share your light, and together we shall illuminate the world. Cut to Egypt, scholars debating, Persia, astronomers studying stars, India, philosophers reading the message under banyan trees. Narrator. The world listened, and soon the world began to move. Music swells as ships sail, caravans cross deserts, and scholars travel toward the Sheikh city. Construction of the House of Wisdom, stone being lifted, artisans painting Arabic calligraphy on walls, fountains built from marble. Narrator. The Sheikh spared no expense. He built not with greed, but with purpose. For he believed that if he could gather every spark of human knowledge in one place, he could ignite eternal truth. Farid supervises workers. The Sheikh inspects the great dome, light filtering through geometric windows. Farid, to a worker. Every tile, every word on these walls must honor learning. The Sheikh says this will be the place where truth speaks. Camera pans across engraved verses, seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. Wisdom is the lost treasure of the believer. Narrator. It was said the Sheikh's House of Wisdom would rival the palaces of kings, but it was meant not for rulers, but for thinkers. Evening. The Sheikh walks alone through the half-finished hall. The sound of distant hammers fades as night falls. Sheikh Omar, murmuring. One day, this place will hold answers that even prophets once sought. He looks at an unfinished marble column, sees a reflection of himself in the stone. Narrator. But as he searched for wisdom, he built walls that none without titles could cross. A servant enters quietly, sweeping dust from the floor. Servant, timidly. My lord, your creation is beautiful. It feels alive. Sheikh Omar, absent-mindedly. Alive? No, my boy. Knowledge is not alive. It is cold, pure, and perfect. Servant. But, my lord, can something be perfect if it cannot feel? The Sheikh glances at him, surprised, then waves him away dismissively. Sheikh Omar. Go. Leave me. Narrator. The servant's words lingered in the air, like a seed that had not yet taken root. Late night. The sheikh cannot sleep. He stands on the balcony overlooking the silent desert, the stars glittering like scattered diamonds. Narrator. That night, the sheikh's heart was restless. For all his knowledge, peace was still a stranger. He opens an ancient book, the text of a Greek philosopher. He reads by candlelight. Sheikh Omar, reading aloud. To know is to understand one's own ignorance. He shuts the book, frustrated. Sheikh Omar. Empty words. What fool believes ignorance brings wisdom? He paces, then hears faint laughter outside, children of the servants playing in the courtyard. He looks down. A young girl shares dates with two younger boys. One of them is crying. She gives him her piece, smiling. Narrator. And there, in the laughter of children, in the kindness of those with nothing, lay the truth he had been searching for, but he could not yet see it. The sheikh watches silently, then closes the window. He whispers to himself. Sheikh Omar. They live without learning, and yet they smile. I have studied the stars, and still I do not know joy. Morning arrives. The city awakens. Caravans fill the streets. Scholars arrive from distant lands, in robes, carrying scrolls and books. Narrator. And so, the grand day approached. From Cairo to Damascus, from Athens to Delhi, the wisest and the proudest came to Almazar. Inside the palace gates, scholars debate loudly. The sheikh watches with satisfaction, yet there's a strange emptiness behind his eyes. Farid, smiling. My lord, your dream is real. The house of wisdom has become the center of the world. Sheikh Omar, quietly. Yes, Farid. But tell me, will the world listen to wisdom or only to pride? Farid doesn't answer. The sheikh turns toward the grand hall, where hundreds gather for the first assembly of knowledge. Narrator. He believed that among these scholars he would find truth. But destiny had another plan, one that would come not from books or crowns, but from a woman with no titles at all. Music swells, majestic and mysterious. The camera pans over the desert horizon as the sun begins to set. The sun rises over the desert. The wind moves gently across the dunes. The scene transitions from the shining palace to a humble village at the desert's edge. Narrator, voice over. Far from the marble halls of the sheikh's palace, where words like knowledge and wisdom were spoken as treasures, there lived a woman who spoke little, but whose silence taught more than books ever could. Camera shows a small clay house. A woman in her early 40s steps out, her head covered with a simple scarf. She fills a pot with water and tends to the goats. Her hands are rough, her eyes kind. Narrator. Her name was Layla. She had no family name, no title, no wealth. But to her neighbors, she was a light in the darkness. Music, soft oud and strings. Inside Layla's home. She is preparing bread with her daughter, Aisha, about 10 years old. The child asks questions curiously. Aisha. Mother, why don't we go to the city like the others? People say the sheikh is gathering all the wise men of the world. Layla, smiling. Wisdom does not live only in the city, my child. It grows where hearts are humble enough to hear it. She places the bread in the fire. Aisha. But how can someone be wise without books? Layla. A book can teach your mind. But to learn kindness, you must listen to life itself. Aisha nods, not fully understanding, but smiling. Narrator. Layla could not read or write, yet people said her words had the weight of truth. She had never studied, but she observed the stars, the wind, the eyes of those who suffered. In them, she found lessons no scholar could explain. Outside, a young man named Karim runs through the village. His brother has been injured working with the camels. Villagers gather in panic. Karim. Layla. My brother, he fell and he cannot move. Layla rushes to him, calm, steady. She kneels beside the boy, examines him and gently speaks. Layla. Breathe slowly, my son. Fear tightens the body more than pain itself. She makes a poultice from herbs, whispers to Karim to hold his brother's hand. Narrator. Her hands healed as much through love as through skill. People said she carried peace in her palms. After tending the wound, she looks at Karim. Layla. He will heal. But promise me, do not speak to him in fear. Speak to him with hope. Hope mends what medicine cannot. Karim nods, tears in his eyes. Narrator. To Layla, wisdom was not found in words or theories. It lived in the way one treated another human being. Later that evening, the villagers gather near a small fire. Layla sits with them, sharing tea. They talk about the Sheikh's new academy. Old man. They say the Sheikh's house of wisdom will change the world. Only those with great knowledge may enter. Young woman. Maybe one day, even women will be invited to speak there. Laughter ripples through the group. Layla smiles softly. Layla. A wise man once said, the door of truth opens not with rank, but with humility. Old man. And who said that? Layla, smiling faintly. No one. I just did. Everyone laughs gently, but the words stay with them. Narrator. Her sayings spread quietly through the village. People repeated them at markets, in homes, by the fire, not knowing that her voice would soon reach the palace itself. A few days later, Aisha walks to the well with other girls. They tease her gently. Girl 1. Your mother thinks she's wise. Girl 2. Maybe she should go teach the Sheikh's men how to cook. They laugh. Aisha looks hurt. When she returns home, she sits silently. Layla notices. Layla. What troubles you, my little star? Aisha, sadly. The girls say you are not wise, that only those with books can be wise. Layla, gently. Do the stars carry books, Aisha? Aisha. No, mother. Layla. And yet they light the world. Aisha smiles. Layla touches her face. Layla. Never let others decide your worth. A title can be given or taken away, but truth, when it lives in your heart, no one can steal it. Soft emotional music swells. Night. Layla prays under the stars. The wind blows through the desert palms. Narrator. While the Sheikh studied the writings of philosophers, Layla studied silence. She believed the universe spoke, not in words, but in stillness. And only those humble enough to listen could hear it. Close up, Layla's eyes closed, her lips move in prayer. Layla, softly. O Lord, grant me not knowledge that makes me proud, but wisdom that keeps me kind. Fade to the palace. Sheikh Omar sits at his grand table, surrounded by scholars. They argue loudly over theories of truth and meaning. Scholar 1. Truth is in the logic of the mind. Scholar 2. No, truth is in divine revelation. Scholar 3. You are all wrong. Truth is found through reason alone. The Sheikh grows weary, massaging his temples. Narrator. Far away, a humble woman spoke to the stars, and in her silence, she was closer to truth than all the scholars in the Sheikh's hall. The next morning, a merchant from the city stops by the village well, resting his camel. He overhears Layla talking to the children. Layla. Do not chase greatness, my children. Chase goodness. Greatness will follow quietly behind. The merchant watches, impressed. Later that day, he arrives at the palace and speaks to a guard. Merchant. There is a woman in the desert who speaks wisdom as if the angels taught her. The guard laughs, but the merchant insists. Merchant. You can fill a palace with scholars, but you will not find peace until you listen to her words. Cut to Sheikh Omar, listening as the guard reports the story. He frowns, curious. Sheikh Omar. A woman with no titles? Wisdom from the desert. He rises, pacing slowly. Sheikh Omar, softly. Let us see if this is truth, or simply another tale carried by the wind. He turns toward the window, looking at the horizon, the same horizon that leads to Layla's village. Narrator. And so, the paths of pride and humility began to draw closer, one from marble halls, the other from the dust of the earth. The meeting of the Sheikh and the woman with no titles was now only a matter of time. Music swells, a mix of strings and Arabic flute. Fade to black. Wide shot, the Sheikh's palace gleams beneath the morning sun. Trumpets echo through the courtyard. Servants rush to prepare carpets, banners, and golden trays. Birds scatter from the domes as the great gates open. Narrator, voice over. Across the empire, word spread like fire through dry reeds. The Sheikh Omar would host a gathering unlike any before, a contest of wisdom where the brightest minds would compete for honor and gold. Cut to crowds arriving, scholars in flowing robes, merchants, poets, travelers, all eager to witness the event. Narrator. The palace, once a quiet monument of stone and silence, now pulsed with the rhythm of ambition. Inside the Sheikh's study, he stands before a large map of his kingdom. His advisor, Malik, enters. Malik. Your Excellency, the greatest minds of Arabia have come. Philosophers from Cairo, mathematicians from Damascus, and even a poet from Persia. Sheikh Omar. Good. Let them come. Let the world see where true wisdom lies. He turns, his expression thoughtful. Sheikh Omar, quietly. And yet, there is talk of a woman in the desert, a woman whose words move hearts more than the scholar's theories. Malik, dismissive. Sire, people love tales. The desert breeds stories like the sea breeds storms. Sheikh Omar. Perhaps. But I wish to see this storm for myself. He stares out the window, toward the horizon, the same direction where Layla's village lies. Back in Layla's village, the merchant who spoke to the Sheikh returns. Merchant. Layla. The Sheikh is gathering all wise ones at his palace. He seeks truth, and reward for the one who teaches it best. Villagers cheer. Aisha looks at her mother. Aisha. Mother, you should go. You could show them that wisdom isn't found in books. Layla, smiling softly. Child, the desert does not need to prove itself to the sandstorm. It already knows its strength. Aisha. But, what if they need you? Layla pauses. The wind rises gently, swirling sand around her feet. Layla. Then perhaps, my daughter, wisdom will find its own way there. She looks at the merchant. Layla. Go. Tell the Sheikh that not all wisdom walks in sandals of gold. At the palace, the great hall, marble pillars rise like trees of light. A crowd of hundreds gathers. The Sheikh sits upon a golden dais. Drums roll as the first scholar steps forward. Narrator. The contest began. Each scholar, proud and prepared, stood before the Sheikh to answer one question. What is the essence of wisdom? Scholar 1, in loud voice. Wisdom is the pursuit of knowledge through reason. Applause. Scholar 2. Wisdom is divine, granted only by faith and revelation. The Sheikh nods slightly but remains unimpressed. Scholar 3. Philosopher. Wisdom is knowing that you know nothing, for only the humble may seek truth. The audience murmurs approval. Still, the Sheikh's eyes remain distant. Narrator. The scholars spoke beautifully, but their words filled the hall like incense, sweet, yet fading too quickly to last. As the last scholar finishes, the merchant enters the hall, escorted by guards. Merchant. My lord Sheikh, forgive the interruption. I have come from the desert, and I bring no scholar, but a message from one who speaks with the voice of the earth. Whispers fill the room. The Sheikh gestures for silence. Sheikh Omar. Speak then, traveler. What message do you bring from this woman of the sands? The merchant bows and repeats Layla's words. Merchant. She said, not all wisdom walks in sandals of gold. A hush falls over the hall. The Sheikh's expression shifts, a mix of curiosity and reflection. Narrator. For the first time that day, the Sheikh did not respond. Instead, he closed his eyes, and for a brief moment, the noise of the court faded into silence. Sheikh Omar. You have all spoken of wisdom. You have written books, debated truth, and built towers of knowledge. But I ask you, has any of you brought peace to a troubled heart? Has any of you turned despair into hope? Silence. The scholars glance at each other, uneasy. Sheikh Omar. Perhaps wisdom does not live in palaces or scrolls. Perhaps it hides where we least expect it, in the voice of a woman with no title, and in the silence between words. The audience watches, stunned. The Sheikh turns to Malik. Sheikh Omar, prepare my horses. At dawn, we ride to the desert. Gasps ripple through the hall. Narrator. And so, the great Sheikh, who had built his life upon knowledge and pride, set his eyes upon the humble dunes, where a woman who sought no glory would soon change his heart forever. The Sheikh walks through the golden doors, the light of sunset behind him. Cut to Layla, in her small home, lighting an oil lamp. The flame flickers as if sensing something distant. Aisha sleeps beside her. Narrator, softly. In the palace, the drums of pride grew silent. In the desert, a single flame awaited the wind that would carry its light across the world. Camera zooms out, Layla's lamp glowing against the vast night of the desert. Text on screen. Chapter 4, When the Sheikh Met the Woman with No Titles. Music fades, oud and strings with soft desert wind. Wide shot, the desert at dawn. The Sheikh's caravan moves slowly through golden dunes. Horses breathe mist in the cold morning air. The sound of hooves blends with the rising wind. Narrator, voice over. As the first light touched the sand, the Sheikh rode toward the unknown. His silks were heavy, his servants many, yet his heart, for the first time, was light. He looks around, endless dunes, the world stripped of walls and wealth. Sheikh Omar, quietly, to himself. How strange that wisdom would live in such silence. The caravan reaches a small oasis. Villagers appear in the distance, simple people, curious but cautious. Malik, nervously. Your Excellency, are you certain this is wise? The woman is no scholar, no poet, no priest. Sheikh Omar, gently. Exactly. That is why I came. Layla's village. Children play by the well. Layla kneels beside a goat, tying its bandage. A shadow falls across her hands, the Sheikh's figure towering behind her. She looks up, shielding her eyes from the sun. Layla, you've traveled far, stranger. The desert is not kind to those who come seeking crowns. Sheikh Omar, dismounting. I come not for crowns, but for answers. Layla, smiling faintly. Then you may find them, if you are willing to forget the ones you brought. He pauses, puzzled. The wind passes, stirring the edges of his cloak. They sit beneath a date palm. Layla pours water into a clay cup and offers it to him. Layla, tell me, great Sheikh, what troubles the man who has everything? Sheikh Omar, I have knowledge, wealth, power, yet I find no peace. Every answer I have only gives birth to another question. Layla, then perhaps you have mistaken knowledge for wisdom. Sheikh Omar, aren't they the same? Layla, shaking her head. Knowledge is the lamp. Wisdom is the light it gives. One can exist without the other, but what good is a lamp that never shines? He lowers his gaze, thoughtful. Layla, continuing. You built walls of learning, Sheikh. But walls can also keep truth out. Silence. The wind carries the sound of children laughing nearby. Narrator. In her words, he heard something no scholar had given him, not theory, but truth wrapped in simplicity. Layla stands and begins walking slowly toward the horizon. The Sheikh follows beside her. Layla, do you hear the desert? Sheikh Omar, listening. Only the wind. Layla, then listen again. They stop. The camera closes in on their faces, eyes closed, wind blowing softly. Narrator. For the first time in his life, the Sheikh listened, not with his mind, but with his heart. In the silence, he heard the echo of his own soul. Layla finally speaks. Layla, the wind teaches us, Sheikh. It touches all things but holds nothing. That is wisdom, to touch life fully, but cling to nothing it offers. He looks at her with quiet awe. Sheikh Omar, how did you learn such truth without books? Layla, by watching the ones who suffer, and those who love them. Every tear, every act of kindness, they are the pages I have read. They return to the village. Layla gives food to a hungry traveler. The Sheikh watches. Later, she tends to an elderly woman's hands, smiling softly. Narrator. He had debated philosophers and kings, but in her, he found no argument, only compassion so deep it silenced him. He finally speaks. Sheikh Omar, all my life, I believed wisdom was meant to rule others. But you use it to heal them. Layla, gently. Wisdom that serves only the mind dies with the body. But wisdom that serves the heart lives forever in others. He bows his head, humbled. Sheikh Omar, you are greater than any teacher I have met. Layla, no. I am merely a mirror, Sheikh. I reflect what you were too proud to see. Tears form in his eyes. He nods slowly, understanding. Sunset. The Sheikh prepares to leave. The sky glows crimson and gold. Layla stands by the well, her scarf blowing in the wind. Sheikh Omar, you have given me more than all the scrolls in my palace. Tell me, how can I repay you? Layla, smiling softly. Teach others what you have seen here, not my words, but what your heart felt when it stopped speaking. He nods deeply, his pride gone. Sheikh Omar, and if I forget? Layla, then return. The desert always remembers. He mounts his horse. The caravan begins to move. He looks back one last time, Layla's figure small against the vast horizon. Narrator. He came to test wisdom, and found it not in a scholar's ink, but in a woman's silence. That day, the Sheikh gained no new title, but he found something far rarer, peace. Music swells, slow, emotional oud and strings. The camera follows the Sheikh's caravan fading into the distance, as Layla's lamp glows in her doorway. The camera opens on the desert horizon at dawn. The Sheikh's caravan rides back through the dunes. This time, the music is gentler, the rhythm of change. Narrator, voice-over. The desert had not only stripped the Sheikh of sand and sweat. It had stripped him of pride. Close-up of the Sheikh's face, calm, thoughtful. His robes are covered in dust. His crown lies beside him, untouched. Narrator. He came seeking wisdom to command others, but returned with wisdom to serve them. As the palace comes into view, the servants hurry to open the great gates. Trumpets sound, but the Sheikh raises a hand to silence them. Sheikh Omar, softly. No celebrations today. The music fades into silence. Inside the palace courtyard, scholars, advisors, and nobles rush to greet him. Malik, bowing. Your Excellency, we feared the desert had taken you. Did you find what you were seeking? The Sheikh looks at him with a quiet smile. Sheikh Omar. Yes, Malik. And it was not what I expected. He walks past the crowd. Everyone whispers, noticing how different he seems. Calm, humble, almost radiant. Narrator. The man who once filled rooms with commands now filled them with silence, and in that silence, even the proudest grew still. The Sheikh enters his grand hall, where his scholars await him. The scholars rise as he enters. Scrolls and inkpots lie on the table. The Sheikh gestures for them to sit. Sheikh Omar. When I left this palace, I thought wisdom lived here, among words, debates, and intellect. But I have learned that wisdom is not found in the tongue that speaks the loudest, but in the heart that listens deepest. Murmurs spread. One scholar frowns. Scholar 1. Sire, with all respect, how can wisdom live outside the written word? Without knowledge, a man is blind. Sheikh Omar. And yet, I met a woman who sees clearer than any of us, though she cannot read a single line. Gasps. Some laugh quietly in disbelief. Scholar 2. A woman, my lord. From the desert. Sheikh Omar. Yes. A woman with no titles, no servants, no gold. But she carries in her soul more truth than the walls of this palace could contain. Silence. The Sheikh's voice softens. Sheikh Omar. She taught me that wisdom without compassion is like a lamp without light, bright in form, but useless in darkness. The scholars exchange uncertain glances. One, older and proud, steps forward. Scholar 3. Sire, surely this woman deceived you. What can someone uneducated teach of truth? The Sheikh stands slowly, his tone steady but firm. Sheikh Omar. She taught me that truth does not need permission to speak. It lives where hearts are open. He steps closer to the scholar. Sheikh Omar, softly. Tell me, learned one, when was the last time your words healed someone's pain? The scholar looks down, unable to answer. Narrator. In that moment, every man in the room felt his pride tremble. The Sheikh's words were not anger, they were a mirror. He gestures to the crowd. Sheikh Omar. From this day forward, our house of wisdom shall not be a place for pride, but for service. We will teach the science of compassion as we teach the science of stars. Shock and awe ripple through the room. Later that evening, the Sheikh walks alone through the palace gardens. The fountain reflects the stars. He holds a small clay cup, the same type Layla gave him. Narrator. He could no longer see the palace as he once did. The marble was beautiful, yes, but cold. The silence of Layla's village had been warmer than the gold of his throne. A young servant approaches, bowing. Servant. My lord, the scholars wish to resume their debates tomorrow. Sheikh Omar, smiling gently. Let them debate. But first, they will spend a day in the village beyond the river, teaching children to read, and listening to their mother's stories. The servant hesitates, surprised. Sheikh Omar. Wisdom does not grow in walls. It grows in hearts. The servant nods and leaves. The Sheikh looks up at the stars. Sheikh Omar, softly. May I never forget the desert's silence. Cut to several days later. The palace is transformed. Scholars now sit with farmers, merchants, and women from the village. Children learn to write on tablets beside fountains. The Sheikh walks among them, smiling humbly. Narrator. For the first time in its history, the House of Wisdom opened its doors to those who had none. The poor sat beside the learned. The uneducated taught the educated the meaning of kindness. Aisha, Layla's daughter, arrives with a group of villagers. The Sheikh kneels to greet her. Sheikh Omar. You are Layla's child? Aisha, smiling shyly. Yes, my lord. She said you would change things. He smiles warmly. Sheikh Omar. She changed me first. He gives her a necklace made of silver and stone. Sheikh Omar. For your mother, tell her this is not payment, but remembrance. Aisha nods and runs off. The Sheikh watches her go, eyes filled with quiet peace. Night. The Sheikh sits by his window, writing his thoughts on parchment. His hand trembles slightly. He stops, then speaks aloud to himself. Sheikh Omar. She had no titles, but she had something I never had, wisdom. He sets down the pen and looks out toward the desert. Narrator, softly. In time, the kingdom flourished, not through conquest, but through understanding. And though the Sheikh's name was carved into marble, it was her name, whispered in the wind, that truly endured. Final shot, Layla's small lamp glowing in her home, mirroring the stars above the palace. The two lights flicker in unison. Text on screen. Epilogue, the lamp and the crown. Soft oud and violin fade to silence. Scene opens with slow orchestral music, the sound of desert winds. The camera glides over the golden dunes of Dubai's desert, where sunlight melts over sand like liquid gold. Then, the lens shifts, skyscrapers rise like silver spears, and a luxurious palace stands at the city's edge, the House of Al-Rahim. Narrator, voice-over. In a land where oil built empires and gold defined greatness, one man believed wisdom was the rarest treasure of all. His name was Sheikh Omar Al-Rahim. Visual. The Sheikh stands on his balcony, dressed in white robes trimmed with gold. He watches the city below, the hum of engines, the noise of wealth. Yet his eyes are distant, thoughtful. Scene 2. Inside the Grand Library. The Sheikh walks through his vast marble library, a hall of knowledge filled with ancient scrolls, manuscripts, and rare books. Scholars from Egypt, Persia, and Europe study under his patronage. Narrator. For years, Sheikh Omar collected scholars like others collected jewels. His library became the envy of the Middle East, a sanctuary of intellect. Yet for all the words around him, his heart remained empty. Dialogue. Sheikh Omar, to himself, so much knowledge, and yet I still do not feel wise. He closes a book and looks toward his advisor, Yusuf, a loyal man in his 50s. Sheikh Omar: Yusuf, tell me, why is it that I have read everything, studied from the greatest minds, and still feel as though I understand nothing? Yusuf: Perhaps, my lord, wisdom is not found in the words of others, but in the silence between them. Sheikh Omar smirks, poetic, but not useful. I will host a gathering, the greatest minds of our time. I will find the answer there. Scene 3. The announcement. Trumpets echo through the palace courtyard as messengers ride out across the desert and into the cities. Scrolls are delivered to scholars, professors, and philosophers across Arabia, Egypt, India, and beyond. Narrator. The Sheikh's message spread like the wind, an invitation to all who claimed to possess wisdom. The reward: gold, honor, and a place in history. Text on screen: the great gathering of knowledge, to be held under the patronage of Sheikh Omar al-Rahim. Crowds discuss the news in markets and tea houses. Some laugh, others dream of glory. Scene 4. The desert evening. That night, Sheikh Omar sits alone in his courtyard. The sound of the wind brushes against the palm trees. He gazes at the stars, deep in thought. Narrator. Despite his wealth, loneliness had long been his only companion. The Sheikh's quest for knowledge had brought him admiration, but not peace. Dialogue. Soft, reflective. Sheikh Omar: My father ruled with strength, my brother with gold, but I will rule with wisdom. Then, perhaps, Allah will look upon me with favor. He pours tea, his hands trembling slightly. He is old, but proud. Scene 5. Preparations for the gathering. Days pass. Workers decorate the palace. Massive banners are raised, embroidered with Arabic calligraphy. Pursuit of wisdom is the path to glory. Musicians rehearse. Servants polish the marble floors. The Sheikh inspects every detail, ensuring perfection. Narrator. To him, wisdom was a crown to be earned, a jewel to be displayed. But true wisdom, as he would soon learn, cannot be worn. Visual. A teacher rehearses his speech, a philosopher dictates notes to his apprentice. Every corner of the palace hums with excitement. Scene 6. The arrival of the scholars. Camels, carriages, and caravans arrive from across the continent. Men in robes of deep blue and white step down, carrying scrolls, books, and theories. They bow before the Sheikh. Scholar from Cairo: Your Majesty, it is an honor to stand in the presence of one so devoted to learning. Sheikh Omar: Knowledge belongs to the wise. Prove your worth, and your name shall live forever. The courtyard fills with debates, fiery arguments about truth, existence, and morality. Narrator. 40 men came to speak, each certain he alone held the light of understanding. But the brighter the fire, the darker the shadows it cast. Scene 7. A private moment. Later that night, the Sheikh finds himself in the empty hall, surrounded by books and echoes of voices. He whispers, If wisdom belongs to the learned, then why do I feel so blind? He remembers his mother, a gentle woman who used to tell him simple stories when he was a boy. A wise man listens before he speaks, she once said. He shakes the memory away. Stories are for children, he mutters. I seek truth, not tales. Narrator. But sometimes, the truth hides in the tales we outgrow. Scene 8. The advisor's warning. The next morning, Yusuf approaches. Yusuf: My lord, I must speak freely. You seek wisdom among those who chase glory. You may not find it there. Sheikh Omar, coldly: Are you saying I waste my time? Yusuf: No, my Sheikh. I am saying that wisdom may appear from places we least expect, perhaps even from those without titles. Sheikh Omar, irritated: Enough. I will not be lectured by a servant. Narrator. And with that, the Sheikh silenced the one voice that spoke the truth. Scene 9. Foreshadowing the encounter. As preparations continue, a brief cutaway shows a humble desert village miles away. A woman, Layla, is seen tending to a small garden, surrounded by children. A traveler passes by, delivering water. He mentions the upcoming gathering. Traveler: The Sheikh seeks wisdom. They say he will pay a fortune to the one who proves himself. Layla smiles softly: Then he will pay much and learn little, unless he first learns to listen. Narrator. Softly. She had no titles. But she had something the Sheikh never had, wisdom. The camera pans back to the palace, golden lights glowing in the desert night. Scene 10, end of Chapter 1, closing moment. The Sheikh stands on his balcony as a sandstorm brews on the horizon, a symbol of what's to come. Narrator. He believed himself a master of knowledge, but soon life would show him a teacher beyond all his scholars. The wind howls. The torches flicker. The screen fades to black. Text on screen. Chapter 2, The Woman with No Titles. Music fades out, sound of desert wind and distant thunder.